Welcome back to another episode of TableTalk Friday, a D&D podcast. I'm your host, Oswin Alemaker, and I just wanted to tell you about three boys who love to talk about D&D. If you like their style, you should follow them on any podcast service you prefer, and come back every Friday for a new episode. And without any further ado, back to the boys.
So, Drew, I think we both had an awakening.
Is that what we're going to call it? Awakening?
That's what we're going to call it, because, before we started the show just now, we were talking about Ludwig's ball sack.
Which I'm just going to open up and say, I have not, with my own eyes, had the privilege of seeing this man's ball sack. However,
Same.
I have heard wondrous things.
Me too.
I've heard it transcends what you expect from a ball sack.
What the fuck are you guys talking about?
So Ludwig, this will have, when this episode releases, will have been like 3 weeks to a month ago. So sorry, listeners, you've already known about this. But Ludwig was on the Cold Ones podcast, which is a play on Hot Ones. Hot Ones being the podcast where celebrities eat wings and burn their mouths. Cold Ones is more about alcohol, where the guys that are on it take alcohol really well, and they try to get the people they have on extremely drunk. So Ludwig was on the Cold Ones podcast, and let's just say that in the middle of recording, he decided it would be funny to pull his ball sack out. So he does in the middle of it, and stuff like this apparently just happens all the time on their podcast. And so on the YouTube video, of course, it's blurred. Like, you don't actually see Ludwig's ball sack.
Oh,
like,
that's a shame.
it's like,
on YouTube.com, I can't see Ludwig's ball sack.
Yeah, you can't. But they do have a private Patreon. And on said private Patreon, the man who I've never watched Cold Ones, but they messaged Ludwig, one of the hosts does, and they're like, "Hey, dude, do you want us to blur out your ball sack on our Patreon version?" And Ludwig responds, "Yes."
And they didn't?
And the guy responds to him, "Oh, thanks, man. You're a trooper," or something like that. Like something very much like, "Okay, cool. Sounds good." So the episode comes out, Ludwig goes to bed, Ludwig wakes up, and the internet is all screaming about his ball sack, which all of the Cold Ones Patreon has seen and thrown on the internet.
I see.
So they get down to like the bottom of it, and I guess for some reason the host guy thought that, yeah, man, that'll be great, meant no, you don't have to blur my ball sack. So he told the editors not to. And he was very apologetic. No, there's no like bad blood or anything. It was very funny to Ludwig. He took it in stride, and he put up he tweeted on Twitter a picture of a pig with a massive ball sack, like an overly sized one, and said, "Heard y'all were talking about me." And apparently it's impressive.
Well, I mean, he's got to take it in stride because he's the one who decided to whip his ball sack out.
Right.
So
I feel like if you're going to whip it out, you have to own it at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I would like to see at this point is I'd like to see a revolution in media here. So if if the wondrous thing appeared itself halfway through the video, I would like for halfway through the video, if views get that far, that they get a royalty, right? Ludwig should get like 10 cents if you get halfway through the video because you've seen the ball sack, right? It's like at
10
OnlyFans
cents for every person.
we could lower it. We could do like a little royalty, like 1 cent, 2 cents, something like that,
yeah.
right?
Maybe like $1 per patron that subscribes. Like $1 per patron that made it through the episode.
Or if you just pay the $1, it unblurs right in the middle.
You pay $1 to see that episode, and it unblurs itself.
It's like 10 seconds of glory for $1, and then just move on. Nothing else from it.
Oh my god! But yeah, that was the news last week.
I appreciate you guys keeping me in the know because I'm ashamed to say I am not always up to date on my Ludwig ballsack lore, apparently.
Well, I mean, I know that Drew only knows about this because of Charlie.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Charlie is my main source of news. So if whatever his newest video is, I have to watch it and watch it just normal speed. I listen to everything he has to say, and I'm fully up to date with everything that's going on in the world for like that week.
And this is Moist Critical Charlie, right? Not,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
any other Charlie that you might happen to know, audience at home.
There are 4.
That's not related to any members of this cast.
No, exactly.
I will say, just based off other Charlies, his whole bit where he has multiple other people dressed as him, because I trust Charlie with my life and as a truthful source of news, I also trust them. So anything they say also is fact.
I completely forgot until today that we have 2 sessions this weekend because I hadn't thought about it at all, and then the message came through earlier today of you guys being like, well, what are we playing, gang? And I was like, oh, there's 2 sessions this weekend because, and you know, Eric with the K is playing with us. So exciting to have her back in the fold. But I was like, oh, I have 2 sessions to prepare. Oh no. And especially after this past week, I've got a lot of work to do tomorrow in the hours leading up to our session.
So just to tease a little bit, do you think it'll be easier to set up this one-off with a player that you haven't played with in a very long period of time? Or, you know, your main campaign that you run every week, but where you brutally murdered one of your players last week?
It'll be easier to run the one with Eric with a K because that one's in a book. Now, as for this one that we're about to do, none of this is in a book.
Yeah, this is gonna be just an incredible, scary ride because I don't know what we're gonna do either. It was 4 days ago, and I still haven't formulated a plan for our path forward. We thought we had everything figured out. We knew what was gonna happen, and now we're just lost at sea, which I guess is the nature of D&D sometimes. At least when you had a really good session.
Yeah, I think this episode might be a pseudo like story time and also a callback to, just not character death per se, but our thoughts on resurrection magic and the different ways it can work in a fantasy world. Welcome to Table Talk Friday. My name is Seth Pittman. I'm joined by my 2 best friends, Zachary Carvon and Andrew Romano. How are you boys doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Always a good week when I get to hear about a good ball sack in the news. Zach,
Oh, we're back there, aren't we?
Zach, how are you feeling on this wondrous kind of gloomy Thursday?
I'm alive and I'm happy to be here. I was just horribly, horribly sick, and it wasn't that illness that you all know. It was just a random cold that's been sweeping everyone that
In the whole U.S.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, everyone that I know is getting one form or another of this thing. So,
Yeah.
If you hear me sounding a little bit different, it's not because I've taken up my grizzled pirate lessons. It's just because I'm a little sick. But fully recovered at this point. So I'm again just happy to be here, happy to be alive.
I would love and absolutely would pay for a service for someone to train me how to do different voices, specifically just D&D pirates. Like I would pay a good
Just that one. That's a niche, dude.
I would pay a good sum of money to be an excellent
Okay.
pirate.
Heck, I'll teach you.
No. I'm curious. What is a good sum of money for you? How much would you pay for a pirate voice?
Okay, so we got to get into like the contract, right? Like how good of a pirate am I from 1 to 20?
That's up to you, dude. You're the one who has to fulfill your own side. I'm saying the guy can teach you how to do a perfect pirate voice, and he will explain it perfectly to you.
So if I put a whole bunch of work
If you
into
put
this,
the effort in, it will happen.
how long? What's the time frame? Are we talking a month?
I'm thinking the turnaround has to be a week.
A week?
Yeah,
Oh,
you should
that's
be able to
good
pull out a new
time.
voice like that in a week.
Come on, for a week, that's pretty solid.
Maybe it's 10 hours of instructional content.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think it takes that long for someone to teach you how to do it. At that point, it's just finding it within yourself to be the pirate you want to be.
No, we can make a program out of this. Listen, what it is it's instructional videos. So they teach you how to do the voice, and then they have an hour of role play practice where a pirate talks to you and you have to respond. And so they say something like, "Yar, matey, how are y'all doing today? and then
Seth,
no,
you
wait.
clearly benefit from this program is all I'm gonna say.
and then they go silent for like 10 seconds, and you're talking back to them, and then they're like, yar, Walker the Blanca.
Ahoy, shiver me timbers.
Shiver me timbers. And then you have to respond, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna throw you in the brig. And then and then they go silent again. So it's a great program, I'm just saying.
I feel like we're asking a little too much of our clientele here. If we're just giving them some nonsense like that, though, it's got to be.
You have to practice talking like a pirate. You got to be a pirate, man. if you're gonna learn how to role play a pirate, you got to be one.
Look, I'm willing to put the work in, and I think my number would be 150. I think I'd spend 150 to be an excellent.
You would spend $150.
Yes.
You could watch Pirates of the Caribbean like 6 times and just practice the lines, and you'll have it.
But if someone comes and trains me how to use my vocal cords,
is this in person?
To do this? Yeah, absolutely.
No,
absolutely.
No one. 150 is too cheap to get someone to come to you in person.
If we had to do it just digitally, I guess I'd do like 75. I guess
75.
Fine. I guess that's reasonable.
I feel like that is a reasonable price.
I feel like $100 is just a good base, clean price.
But the thing is, my fear is, as wonderful as this sounds, my fear is it's going to feel like those moments when you walk into like your foreign language class in high school, and your teacher that you look up to that's really cool, maybe she's like a sweet old lady, and she says like, oh, ¿cómo está? And you're like, oh.
Shiver me timbers.
Could you imagine, Drew? Could you imagine if our Spanish teacher, I'm talking about our first Spanish teacher, not our second one,
oh God,
said that to us and we responded with "shiver me timbers"?
We would have failed, man. We would have failed.
We would have. I mean, she already wanted to fail me. She did not like me.
Gosh. Oh, but yeah, as long as you can avoid that cringe, man, I would do it. I would 100% do it. You have to get to the point where it's like where you come into class and no matter what they say, you don't give a crap. It's like, I'm going to sleep. I'm doing my homework for the next class. You got to get to that point first.
So anyway, that's our next scheme. If any of you want pirate voice
I don't
lessons,
like that you called it a scheme.
No, this is a legitimate business idea.
I think for a voice actor, that's an amazing program idea of like getting a ton of content and instructional videos on a bunch of different voices, and you just buy this is the pirate voice program, $100. This is the elderly wizard voice program, $100, and you program that out. And then there's also like the master program. It's like, oh, you can spend $3,000 for one-on-one with this person and get all of the voice packs.
Yeah, the reason I say it's a scheme is because none of us have any professional voice acting
Not
talent.
at all. I can never, if you couldn't tell by my pirate voice, I cannot pull that off.
Yo ho, shiver me timbers. That'll be $100.
That'll be $100, please. Say lines like "yar har" often.
Stupid.
When you're not sure what to say, perhaps shiver me timbers.
Perhaps there be booty.
What did Patrick say in that one-off? When it was always like
Every time
something.
he would finish a sentence, or like he would be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Captain Ahoy," and like, and he would just finish his sentence with something like that had nothing to do with what was going on.
Yes, Captain, I have prepared the plans. Pieces of 8. Shiver me timbers.
Maybe we need to make more characters that just have that anchor word that just roots them into the story.
I think we leave that to Patrick.
You think so?
I think he does well with it, and I'm not going to steal that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So I would like to start off our talk about death and rebirth with a little recap of a recent session of ours. We've talked about, losing characters in the past and characters dying, and let's just say that this past week we had an unexpected, very unexpected by every player and the DM, death at the table. Our characters, lately we've been going through a couple of adventures from Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel because I'm using things like that and Candlekeep Mysteries and Tales from the Yawning Portal. I use those as like side quests for the campaigns that I'm running because I feel like some of those quests are well written. Well, the party was level 14. There's a 14th level adventure in Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel, and let's just say, they kicked ass. It was fun. We went through the one that takes place in Atagua. I forget the name of the actual module that was run, but it's the 14th level adventure in Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel. And it was fun. It took us about 4 sessions to complete, I believe, which is probably like quadruple the amount it could take at the table. But we had a great time with it, and we wrapped up the story lately. Now, just fair warning, if you were thinking about playing through this adventure, there is probably a little bit of spoiler going on here, but nothing like concrete because I changed around a lot by introducing different characters. But basically, there's a god named Kimagwa. He's a snake god in the Feywild. The 2 realms are like colliding, the material plane and the Feywild, and the party has to stop whatever's causing this corruption in the realm of Atagua. Now, my party went there intent on getting just a ghost orchid, which is a special flower found in this area. They got it and decided to help out some civilians that were also there as well. So, long story short, party fights the big bad, party kills the big bad, and they come back to Kimagwa, the snake. He is no longer in his slumber, he's been saved, and he says to the party, I will grant you one favor. And this was when firefighter Eric, our friend Sean, whose backstory is intertwined with the party's. Let's rewind again.
Right. So we step back early on in this campaign. We had just gotten to hell. This campaign started in Descent into Avernus was our starting campaign, and it sort of has spiraled off from there. But early on in this adventure, we're within El Terrell, which has been pulled down into hell. So we're running around, and there are survivors of the initial devil attacks, and the people are afraid for their lives, whatever. We run into this mother with 2 children, her name being Harkina, and her sons Ezo and Brask. Lovely little family. Sure would be bad if anything happened to them. So being the D&D party that we are, we clear out the immediate area of I believe it was like the town hall or something. We clear out this area of all hostiles, and we say, all right, you guys stay put up here. We're going to go down into the catacombs where surely there will be more danger. It turns out that all of the townspeople were actually holed up down in the catacombs. It was a perfectly safe place for this mother and children to be. But as we were going down there and, exploring, mother and children are attacked by, I forget exactly what the... Maragon, yeah. A shitty little baby face mask, gold wearing motherfucker devil thing. And they capture the mother and the children. There was also a druid there, but he doesn't matter. With 2 hellhounds, essentially my character and I don't
Drew's
believe it
character,
was.
Yeah.
Was it Drew?
He was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 of us, we head back up just to fetch them. Right. We're gonna take them back down because surely nothing bad has happened. But they're tied up. They're waiting for us to come back because they want
to shove it in your face.
So, long story short, mother and one of the children dies. We're able to save the other, and I believe the druid is fine as well. Whoop-de-doo, we haven't seen him since.
I forgot about him.
In any case, we feel horrible about this. And fast forward. Our good buddy Sean, his character that he'd been playing up until now, for the convoluted reasons that we won't get into now. His character goes on with a higher power, decides that he's going to fight the good fight with Zariel eternally. So he flies off. There's no more him. So he needs to roll up a new character. He decides that his character is going to be the father of those two children, husband of Harkina. And so
he was off training in paladin school just to try to learn how to defend and do good things for the realm when he finds out, well, through ethereal means, that his wife and child have been murdered, and they are now haunting him, basically.
Yeah, he was a phantom rogue.
Right. So he's got these two phantoms of his wife and his child following him around at all times, which was very fun for us at the table, because it's like, oh my gosh, these are characters that we didn't think we'd ever see again. They just died, and we saw it horribly happen, and now we're in relation to, like, now this guy's along with us, and they're along with him. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and so his ultimate character goal, of course, is he wants to adventure with us more than anything to find some means of bringing his wife and child back to life. The other child has more or less disowned him. He doesn't want anything to do with him.
Because he wasn't there.
Yeah, exactly. Sort of blames him for what happened. So very tragic, very sad. What a good character. We sure do love Adonis, was his name. And in any case, we can flash forward back. Now you have the context. So Kimagua, go ahead.
Yeah. So Kimagua, being this Feywild deity, who there's not a whole lot of context for what he can possibly do in the book. It basically says Kimagua may grant the party a favor or something in return if they save him. That's what it says in the book. It doesn't say treasure section and like tell you what he gives. So, I did what any good DM would do. I let the players decide what they wanted. I said, as Kimagua, I said, I will grant one favor. And Adonis was the first to speak up. And he said, can you bring my wife back to life? Kimagua, being a being of the Feywild, and not being normal, like fiendish, not being divine, basically said, I don't have that power directly. I need some sort of catalyst, and it has to be an exchange of some sort. So the party did gather a seed from the ghost orchids that was white. Now, what this does is it allows the party to cast the resurrection spell with it. So what Adonis did is he exchanged this resurrection to Kimagua so that they could bring Harkina back to life, though there was no body to house her. So our party's inventor used, what spell was it?
Fabricate.
Yeah, used fabricate and a bunch of stuff that they had found throughout the adventure, put it on the ground and fabricated basically a warforged body for her to live in, which was so cool because that's almost like the origin of warforged. We've had warforged around, like they came from other realms, but this is like its own thing, right? Like, oh my gosh, we just created a new race of people almost.
Yeah.
So, or like a method of creating life, it could be that, in our lore now, that people's souls can be implanted back into these machines based on Oswin's research that he did today.
Yeah,
it's something like that. It's pretty cool.
We've really fucked up the whole balance of everything in life in the universe.
Right.
This last session.
So it was cool. And all of us were like, oh my gosh, Adonis is going to have his wife back. This is amazing. And so as this is going to happen, he's going to exchange it. He says, I will give the seed for my wife's life and mine for my son's, to which the entire table, including me, the DM, is like, say what now? He looks back to the party and tells all of them, it was a pleasure, working with you. You're like, this is it was awesome. It was awesome traveling. This was great. See you later. And in one fell swoop, his life is exchanged for his son's. His son is given his body, though aged down, so it's not weird. And Harkina is put inside of this warforged creature. Then the sword, the dancing sword that Adonis had with him, starts to float as he is now the soul on the other side, his wife being the phantom, or the phantom rogue or whatever. So, intense session. All of us were surprised, taken off guard by this. And, me, especially being the one who presented the favor by Kimagwa, never expected that. I expected it to be like, well, can you give us magic or something? Or can you do this or something? Or, can you help us in our fight against Asmodeus? Can you do something like that? And then he said that, and I was like, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Because it went, putting my notes out on the table, I did plan to tempt him with that many times in hell. Be like, hey, yeah, I'll, just make a deal with me, trade your soul, and I'll do it.
And he would have done it too.
And he would have done it. I planned to do that many times in hell. Maybe even do it with Asmodeus to try to convince him, to change sides or something.
That may be the most disappointing part, because now that Adonis is gone, as we venture back into the depths of hell, we don't have any more characters in our group that would sacrifice their soul for anything. I think they're all true. They're all good moral compasses at this point.
Yeah, I mean Oswin would, but his is taken.
Oh. And for anyone that's not feeling like the tension from this story, just keep in mind this is not the first time, but the second time we have lost this player's character with minimal goodbye time. The first time we lost him, there was a time of war, and we had to go right now, or else we just don't have any time to do anything. It was quick hug, goodbye, never see him again, right? This second character, again, we're being hunted by these demons and devils. We have to go. We have to go get our friends. We have to go back to our plane of existence, right? We got to go. And within, a minute, this character you've been spending so many sessions with is just gone at the table.
Yeah.
That's it. No goodbye. I loved hanging out with you. No reminiscing of the adventures you had. It was just snapped out like that. It hurt. It did.
Oh, it did. I feel like everybody felt it at the table. It was, I don't know if I felt that much. I felt a lot during the ending of Descent into Avernus. When we got to that point, I was feeling a lot, but I felt a lot in this last session. I was like, geez, I cannot believe what just happened today. Especially something that, I didn't write beforehand. Oh yeah, there's a chance that Adonis would, give his life up here. No, never had that in mind.
Yeah, no, I literally cried, and it was only kind of in character.
Yeah.
But you sucked it back in, so you're a real man, Zach.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
You pulled it right back in.
Yeah, like the guy from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Yeah. Oh, what a good movie. What a good movie, man.
No, I'll say I cried very satisfying tears, and
Yeah.
I was done when I was done. Thank you very much.
So this brings us to our topic of the day, which is resurrection magic in D&D and how we feel about it. Because there are plenty of spells in D&D that can bring a character back to life. But like we see in, superhero movies, like we see in anime, we want death to also mean something in the game too, right?
Yeah, so I think this is a nice anecdote of your power as a DM, right? Yes, the books say that there's revivify, raise dead, resurrection, reincarnate, true resurrection, things like that. They all have names and words associated with them, but ultimately sometimes you do have that power to say, all right, but what if we thought outside of the box a little bit? There's nothing in the resurrection spell that says you must sacrifice another human life in order for this spell to work. But how dramatic is that to put your players in that situation?
I think in that situation, right, where it was a very outside of the box resurrection, if you will, right? I think that's what's enticing a lot of the time. That's what kind of builds these cinematic, dramatic moments, is once it's outside of the game. Once you don't feel like it's necessarily the core mechanics, it's so much more. It's just more, right? It's more lovable, it's more enjoyable, and it feels more powerful. You feel more adventurous, you feel more heroic, right? The idea of doing some grand quest to get some crazy magic item might be more fulfilling than crafting it as an artificer, right? And in this situation, I cannot imagine casting any of the spells to revive someone and it being nearly as satisfying as this. The trade of power, that something that's not written in any of the books, right? The actual trading of a soul of one of the people at the table, that's intense. That was legit.
Yeah, I mean, and that was like a whole on the fly thing because I thought in my head, I was like, well, I don't want this guy to just be a god, to just be like a snake form druid that can cast the same druid spells. I was like, it makes sense that there's like law and order here in some way. And so I was like, okay, well, what's the first thing I think of when I think like, okay, you're like a neutral being like this, right? And the first thing I thought was alchemy, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where all the rules are equivalent exchange. And so that's the kind of the rule I put in place was like, okay, I will grant you a favor, but it has to be equal, So when I came up with that idea, I was like, let me present that at the table. And then the character says, I will sacrifice my life for my sons. And I go, oh shit.
Yeah, you played yourself there, DM.
Well, I mean, I think this story arc would have been largely like, hey, we had fun with it. It was good. Now let's forget about it and go to hell if this hadn't happened. Like, it would have been one of those things like, oh my God, we hate the Feywild. But now that you've done this whole adventure, it's like, yeah, you still hate the Feywild, but it means a little more.
Yeah, but we're never going back, though.
Well, not unless you have to.
I also want to say, by the way, this giant snake god that gave us this power to swap souls and totally revolutionized our game at this point because it's totally different now. What a greedy bitch, right? This guy sits here. No. This man sits there on his high horse saying, hey, I'll do something for you with an equal exchange. Yeah, we just went on a world-ending quest to save your butt that was literally turned to stone. Okay? We just saved the dreams, the actual good dreams and hopes of an entire realm, boy. Okay? Maybe
no one's dying from bad dreams, Drew.
That's not true. That's not true. Okay? So I'm just saying, maybe the first soul could have been free. Maybe it was a BOGO situation. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I will say it is very satisfying, though, for magic to behave in that sort of way because even if you think about other, forms of resurrection magic, there is always a cost associated with it. For many tables, that's probably a little too low of a cost. 300 gold worth of diamonds, 500 gold worth of diamonds, whatever the spell calls for. But if we think back to another time where our party in this same campaign happened to make a trade for a life, we were granted the Pyth, Drew, your character, completely decimated by a beholder.
I wouldn't say decimated. He slightly beat me. Slightly outwitted. Outgunned, perhaps.
Well, you weren't disintegrated, but
you got one raid.
You were death raid. And then my the devil, pit fiend in my shield, offered to bring you back to life, but in exchange for your soul, obviously you didn't take that him up on that, but I did. There was still that exchange of your life for mine. Ultimately, now we're in a really big pickle as we're going back into hell with this guy because he's going to cash in on this at some point, and it's going to be my fault, but it's also going to be your fault, Drew.
No, it actually is not my fault.
I did not realize that I had accidentally written a theme for this campaign, and it's just like that there is cost associated with or like consequences for actions or like cost associated with life and death. That being whenever Pyth died and he had Osmond had to give up his soul for yours. That being the sacrifice that Nuth made with Zariel, trading literally basically who he was for all of El Terrell, and then now Adonis trading his life for his family's. Crazy.
Sacrifice is a hard topic, man.
Yeah.
I didn't
sacrifice,
realize.
That's the word I wasn't saying.
Yep, sacrifice. I hadn't expected it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sacrifice. No, I like the idea of the sacrifice theme. It's very difficult to pull off. I will commend you. I'll give you a pat on the back because
it was on purpose.
Oh yeah. I'm sure. It's real difficult from someone who's tried to do those emotional pulling scenes, right, where a character is killed off or traded or something like that, right? It's intense and it can be very emotionally hurtful to everyone at the table, even if you do pull it off correctly. It's like, will my characters like me after this campaign? Will we be friends anymore? I don't know.
I mean, all I can say is I'm continually just astounded by Sean's gameplay. Like, whenever we're at the table, no matter what, like anytime he makes a decision story-wise that's like over everybody's heads, everyone's like, bravo. Like, good job.
Yeah. Even if we didn't want him to do it, even if if he brought it up and like asked everyone, we would have told him no. That's why he doesn't ask.
Yeah, he just does it.
Yeah.
It's like we're all like inside, we're like, Sean, do it. But out loud, we're like, please, Sean, please don't do that.
Yeah, like if he said, so Adonis really wants to like give his soul for his son right now, we all would have said, okay, that's such a great idea, Sean, but you can't possibly do that. We need your character.
So, and I'm not gonna spoil anything here. So don't worry about covering your ears or anything. I'm not spoiling anything, but I gave him some really solid options for his new character, and he's gonna do really well. He's gonna do really well.
I don't know what to take from that.
Yeah, he's gonna do really well. It's just really cool.
Oh.
And it's a type of character that I don't think we've dealt with yet. That we've had.
I'm very interested in
Yeah,
what you mean by that.
You'll find out. But I do have a specific place story-wise I need us to get before I can bring this character in. And it might not be till the end of the session tomorrow. It might be right at the beginning. We'll just have to find out.
So let's play as slow as humanly possible
Yeah,
to
so
make
Sean can't play.
really feel like garbage that he left us. Just really rub it in his face.
Well,
Yeah, that'd be so nice of us to do.
Yeah, and take as long as possible to make Chase wait as well.
oh, no.
Yeah, he sure will have to wait. So other thing that happened at the end of last session. So what an amazing, it wrapped up in a nice little bow. I mean, obviously we hated that Sean sacrificed his character like that, but what a satisfying conclusion to
Then we
this
get
little
to
arc.
the post-credit scene.
Yeah, we get to the post-credit scene, and so our good buddy Chase, his character, we may have mentioned it on the show before. If not, his mother had recently died, and we were able to bring her back to life with a revivify spell. We caught her, but she was horribly mangled. She's a victim of horrible burning, so she's not really able to function on her own. He didn't want to leave her alone. So his character stayed with her while she was, in recovery from that. He makes a new character. We go on our merry way. We're doing some adventuring, some light Feywild adventuring. Ends in the death of one of our characters, but we thought it was just a fun little side quest, and we'd come back and get Hakili later. But turns out, end of last session, Pyth, Drew's character, finally, we've been discussing it for so long, and none of us thought
4 weeks exactly.
Yeah, we just didn't. We didn't actually do it. A cast sending to
to
check in
with Hakili.
Yeah, he's been kidnapped by a Rakshasa that we know. It's been so long.
It's been
since he's been kidnapped.
Right. No. The week after Chase left the party and brought in his new character, I started the session off by saying, "Hey Chase, will you join a different call with me?" So that way, like, just really quick, and everybody was like, "Yeah." And then we get into that call. We spend probably 15 minutes together. Just doing some light role play and, discussing some things and rolling some dice. And then, we're getting texts during the middle of it like, oh, is Hakili dead? What happened? Like, everything. We get back, everyone forgets about it for 4 weeks. Like, we get back into the call. I start the session as normal. I introduce Chase's new character. Everything is great. And we go on our merry way. Every single session for the last 4 weeks, the party has brought up, oh yeah, maybe with your remaining spell slots, we should just cast sending and check in on Hakili. And someone has stopped that party member from doing it every time. Like, at one point, Sean was like, no, I'm sure he's fine. And says that to Pyth. But at one point, I believe Pyth was just about to go to bed. And someone was like, oh man, Hakili's just such a bad friend for not being here. Should we check on him? Nah, he's a bad friend. And no... and no one checked on him. And so...
it was his fault for staying there with his mother and not sticking with the group like a smart D&D player.
It's the classic case of bros before hoes. I'm just saying, it would have... If he had just picked us and came with us, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Well, your girlfriend was back there, too.
Yeah, but she's okay. She's fine.
Who knows?
No, she's fine.
None of us know, and that's also the worst or the bad part of it. We don't know anything about. So at the start of next session, what the fuck do we do? Because we just realized, oh shoot, we really screwed the pooch on this one. We have to get in gear right now, and we're down Adonis. Thanks.
Thanks, appreciate it. I do have to just step up because I need everyone to understand before you quit listening to your podcast because I'm a terrible friend, right? I've been heartbroken since this session has occurred, right? It almost ruined the session for me at the end, just thinking about how terrible of like not only as a player I was, but as a person. Like I didn't check on my friend. As a wizard, this is like my sorcerer bestie that I've known for my entire life as my character, which is only 2 years, but I've known for my entire life, right? He's my best bud. We went to school together. We studied together.
You fought Asmodeus together.
We fought literally we went through hell and back together. Literally, okay? And every single day in these sessions after he's been kidnapped that we didn't know, right? I've been thinking, I'll check on Hakili today. And then literally something would happen every time. Or every single day I would think, oh, you know what? I was thinking about it so much yesterday. I sent it last time. There's no reason to message him again because we're going to go do this thing. And if I tell him something now and it changes and if I don't have spell slots, he's going to think we're doing something else. I always reasoned within my head why I had done it the previous day or why I'd already done it. And I feel disgusting. It is an awful feeling. Message your friends. Call your mother, everybody. Anyone, pause the podcast right now. Call your mother. Call your family. They need to know that you love them.
They might have been kidnapped, and you'd never know.
Oh no!
I hate for that to be the reason they find out their family member was kidnapped. But do it, please. I feel awful, and but it just goes to show how strong this game is. So,
man.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah, no, and Chase and I discussed it every time we were alone together. Be like, yeah, so they still haven't done it. Nope, still haven't. And he alluded to it multiple times. At the beginning of sessions, would allude to it as well, just in hopes that someone would remember Hakili at some point. Just because I knew that if you found out in the middle of your journey that Hakili was kidnapped, you would have to choose between helping out Yurata and Pan or going and saving Hakili immediately.
Yeah, and so in my mind, that's a foregone conclusion. We would have dropped everything to go and rescue Hakili.
That's what I thought.
So what a happy accident that we had this wonderful little resurrection situation work out just because Pythe's such a bad friend.
Well, and I knew that it would take time, and you guys were going to be plane hopping a lot. You plane hopped so much, and I mentioned in the session that sending spells had been trying to be cast to you, but luckily for me, this whole story arc had a whole theme of of plane hopping, of sleeping and stuff. So when you guys would sleep, time would pass, and and then things like that. So one thing I didn't do that I feel like I really should have done is use those times, like the 12-day time skip that I just did, off the cuff. When the 12-day time skip happened, I should have had a little excerpt written up about someone reaching out to you, Pyth. So a messages reaching into your head every time that Pyth would go to sleep. So that way it's sending spells are being cast, but you're asleep every time.
I feel like that would have been super cool. If you had done that, I wouldn't feel like an awful friend because I definitely would have cast sending at that point in time. It might have saved me. It might have saved Keely, maybe. Who knows? But I guess
Hakili's going to be fine. What are you talking about? He's not. We're not losing another party member here.
Look, I just want to take a little of the blame off of me as the bad player and put a little bit of the blame on the good DM here. So I think you definitely should have done that one thing, and it would have made me feel better as a player, Seth. I mean, what could you do?
I only thought about it post-mortem.
I can't do everything.
And I've I've been thinking about this for a while. I'm excited to see where the actual story goes next because I don't actually know. I'm just playing a game. So
I know where we're going. We're going right back to Keely, and I'm casting my spells top down to get him. Okay, we're going 7, 6, and 4th. Okay, we are getting Keely back. I don't care what we have to do. We're getting him back.
What happened to your 5th level slots?
I skipped those. I don't need them anymore.
Oh.
I use them all to cast sending.
I am curious. So I do have some thoughts on the whole life death thing, but we'll do that after this. What are your guys' thoughts for the beginning of the next session? You know, where we've left off, where you know you've gotten Harkina and Ezo. You are standing in a room with all the people you saved, and you just found out your best friend has been captured. What's your first course of action?
You know, well, first of all, we have to reach out to Keely, right? Because for obvious reasons. But up to this point in the story, I feel like constantly I am re-guessing myself. I'm double-guessing myself, thinking, you know, if I had done this, would this have happened, right? So Adonis was the father of the one kid we saved out of the family of 3. If we had rolled poorly that day, right? If we hadn't saved that one kid, would Adonis have been there with us? I don't know. If I had messaged or cast sending to Akili, would we be where we are right now? Would Adonis be with us? I don't know, right? So I feel like what we need to do realistically is spend 4 hours talking about what we're going to do and then not actually do it at the beginning of this session. Because no matter what we pick, it's going to be wrong. So we have to pick very carefully.
You know, I think completely opposite of you. There's no time to think for our characters, and I don't think we need to spend that much time thinking about what we're going to do either. What feels right to me is we rush back. Obviously, we're going to return to Mordenkainen with that fucking flower that he made us go get.
No, he asked you to go get it.
Well, what? No, but he said specifically, like, I need this flower for X reason. For you guys.
Well, yeah, he was like, well, if you want some work, I can give you something to do.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair, though. He wasn't holding us at gunpoint or anything. We could have gone to hell.
He was like, look, I'm stuck
without
here
him.
on the Radiant Citadel. I need to get off.
That's right.
Yeah,
he just wants to get out of here.
He wants to transfer from the ethereal plane, but he can't do it because he doesn't have his ghost organ.
Well, we can grease those wheels then. We can, hey, Mordenkainen, you want to, like, just while you're at it, like, drop us off in hell really quick. You know, as we're wherever you're going next, just drop us where we need to be. That sounds like a good idea. So that's probably what we'll do. We'll go back to Mordenkainen. We'll, of course, Mordenkainen has Gargouth, our pit fiend friend, chained up.
Your bestie.
No longer in a shield. So we've got to chat with Gargouth. I mean, he's coming with us. We've already decided that he's coming with us to hell. He agrees. So it's a, again, foregone conclusion. We just need to really on delay, wrap it up, and get in there.
But I'm so scared to get in there because any farther we go in this campaign means we have to hang out with Gargouth, right? And which I know everyone loves Gargouth, but he kind of like, you know, I feel he has my life in his hands now.
I don't think anyone loves Gargouth. He's Oswin's.
Oswin loves Gargouth.
Yeah, Oswin loves Gargouth, but it's I don't know if you boys have seen Parks and Rec, but it's like Ron Swanson and Tammy 2. He is not good for me.
No.
And, you know, he's absolutely terrible and he's evil and all that, but his personality is very lovable and I like him as like an NPC, right? But I'm scared to be around him. Just kind of building off this theme of resurrection magic, right? The idea that I was brought back from this pact that was made with your soul, Oswin. I don't know if at any point in time he could just like undo it and I die. I don't know if we decide to fight off Gargouth for whatever reason. If I defeat him, do I also die? Is it like a Dragonheart moment?
Don't give him any ideas, okay?
Oh, you know he's been thinking about this. You know. I'm genuinely scared because I would absolutely love to backstab this guy. I don't want him to win. I don't want him to be, you know, at the top of the world at the end of this campaign. And so if we can sabotage him, if we could take him down, I'm all for it, right? Because he took my friend's soul. But with all resurrection magic, I feel like there's these consequences, right? So I don't know what to do. I'm very
Sacrifices,
scared.
you might even say.
Quit with your theming. Okay? Get out of here.
Well, that's the thing, though. End of this campaign, Gargouth has made it clear he wants to usurp Asmodeus. We're going to help him do it. And at the end, Oswin's going to be his right-hand man. And I'm going to be honest, as fun as that sounds, what an awesome end to this character, Master of the Hellforge or whatever. Boy, howdy, do I not want that to happen. I want Oswin to go home and settle down, because ultimately that's what he wants. Like this is our last big score, because we're not going to be able to rest otherwise, as Modius won't let us. But after this, we're getting out of the game.
We could try to get out of the game.
So I have no idea how that's going to happen. But it's gotta.
I won't give any thoughts on where I would like to see things, but I do think you guys will. I'm not gonna say anything. You guys will see.
I hate that. I hate it so much.
I've got some plans that I'm very excited for, and I do hope your minds are changed in a couple of different places. But also, I would really like to see the same things you would. Like I want to see what you're gonna do, as well as how you guys handle being around Gargouth all the time.
I'm gonna love it so much. I'm gonna be honest. I love, because usually I'm very much like I'm the goody two shoes player. I'm always steering us like in the right direction. Well, is this the moral choice for us to be? Like, is this really what we want to be associated with right now? But every time Oswin interacts with Gargouth, it's like Fallout 4. We get the little indicator. Everyone disliked that, and I'm very okay with that being the thing that's going on there. And to be fair, what an awesome companion to have. See our, 19, 21 Pit Fiend just running around with us.
Yeah, he's at a disadvantage, though, and so are the people that fight him, because they're all, like, immune to each other's attacks.
Yeah. Gonna have a hard time having him accidentally die at some point.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be cool having him along. We've had many big creatures follow you guys around in the past, right? We had Harshnag in Storm Kings. We had Felgalos in Storm Kings. We're not estranged to having these big creatures along with you guys. And I don't know if I should give myself kudos or what. I feel like it's never gotten in the way of like a good combat session or anything like that. Like when it comes to combat and everything, I feel like I've done a fine job making sure that it still feels like there's stakes in the encounters.
Oh, no, there'll definitely be stakes at this point, but also keep in mind, everyone we've hung out with or ventured with, up to this point, they've really been the big ones anyway, the big, powerful CR creatures, dragons and giants, oh my, that kind of thing, We're actually with, like, a literal, almost King of Hell character. He feels much larger than life. He does not feel like we're traveling with a dragon that likes, to goof around and take down local bandits, or the giant in the tundra that wants to take down some of the barbarian tribes, that kind of vibe. This feels like we're traveling with like an Asmodeus type of character. I feel very intimidated being around Gargouth. I don't know about the rest of the party, but I feel uncomfortable, but also I like it.
Yeah, it's very much a this is Better Call Saul. We're traveling with Gus Fring. And we know what he's capable of in Breaking Bad.
I'm never going to be able to unthink that now. I'm going to think of Gargouth every time as Gus Fring. It's going to be this giant demon with Gus Fring's face.
Gargouth might be one of my favorite creatures to roleplay. Him and Lulu in this campaign have been some of my favorite. Like, I feel like I've gotten my best lines out. I named the party inadvertently just acting as Lulu. Like, it's been a good time being these characters, and I'm gonna be sad whenever the campaign's over and I don't get to be them anymore.
Yeah, I'm really gonna miss. I'm gonna miss this whole campaign, but I'm also really gonna miss Gargouth. No matter what happens to him,
he'll be dead. Don't worry.
Good. I'm glad. And that's just the darndest thing, because we could have skipped grabbing his shield way back when. It was really an impulse decision on my part, because usually, like I said, I'm the goody two-shoes player. I know that deals with devils are bad, and we shouldn't take the devil-possessed shield. But there was just something about it. And now we're here.
Some might say that moment, that moment of weakness where you grab that shield, might have been a sacrifice, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, of my morals.
Well, you know what? We don't know where we're going. It could have been of the party. It could have been of multiple members of the party. We don't know. We'll have to see. But one way or the other, you are not going to be this man's assistant in hell, Osmond. I will not allow it. And I don't think the party will either. We're going to save you, just like we almost saved Adonis, and maybe we almost save Achille. But we're going to try our best to save you.
Yeah, if there's anything that I'm willing to do, it's definitely sacrifice myself in a blaze of glory for that. I really don't want us picking up Gargouth's shield way back when being everyone's undoing, just like everyone thought it would be.
It still might be. It still might be. Just not to be a Debbie Downer, but I am very worried about all this to come as we traverse the layers of hell and go down and fight these archdevils. I'm wondering if we do need Gargouth or not. I don't know. I think we can handle it ourselves, but the idea of Gargouth not being around, I don't know.
Just the thought
really
of you
don't know.
being like, yeah, I think I can dive through 9 layers of hell.
Oh, we could do it.
Without the CR19 creature.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
we've got a nice
No.
tour guide right now.
It's so funny to me. Just like
You guys are thinking about it the wrong way. We've been to the Feywild and only died twice. Okay, we could do this.
Every adventure that goes to the Feywild ends in character death. That's true. That's true of our adventures in the Feywild thus far.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Just based off how the Feywild has screwed us, I want nothing more than if my character lives, if Pyth lives all the way through this campaign, I want his overwhelming character trait to be that no matter how powerful he is, if he's a 25th level wizard, if any adventurer asks him for help, it's absolutely, of course, where do you need to go? The Feywild. Absolutely not. I'm never returning.
I don't go there.
No, I can't go there.
No, I don't roll that way. Like, not me. That's not for this guy.
Pyth, what do you mean? You're the strongest mage in all of the world. Yeah, but the grass is real scary there. The trees come after you. It's a rough place, guys. It's way worse than hell. So I'm never going back.
So I do have some thoughts on resurrection magic before we close out this story time episode. In general, I enjoy resurrection magic like revivify. That's like, hey, you got a minute to basically, defibrillate them back to life with radiant magic. That's really cool to me and makes so much sense because it's like, hey, you can get them up, but you can't bring back limbs. You can't. They heal, but they don't like regrow body parts. Things like that are really awesome, and I like just the quick bring them back to life. I think revivify is good as is. Maybe, and then as far as like higher resurrection magic, things like the raised deads, the resurrections, all of those, they're almost things I never want to see because unless it's in like the right scenario with something like a sacrifice or a consequence. I really like the way that Matthew Mercer does life and death, being that like if you get revivified, if you die and you get brought back to life, there have to be stakes involved. So the way he does it is he starts it at 10, just a DC 10, and your party members have to contribute in some way to the actual resurrection. So like, okay, Jeff over here is going to, sit down and say a prayer, and then Gordo on the other side, he's going to come over and offer up his favorite item and, put it in the character's hands. And then last but not least, the person who's actually casting the spell, needs to finish the ritual with something. By placing the gold around the area or placing the diamonds over their eyes and going for the healing. And they each have to make checks. Every time they make the check, the DC lowers. If they fail the check, the DC goes up. And then when it comes down to the actual resurrection, there is a roll that takes place on whether they actually get brought back. So it's like, okay, and we roll, and cool, because it was a DC 10 and you have a +9 or whatever, there's almost no chance they don't get brought back. But then when it gets a little bit higher, there is a chance if you roll low enough that the spell just doesn't work properly. I like that because it's like, oh my god, even though we have this really strong spell, life and death still matters here, and sometimes it just doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, though, in contrast to Revivify, I do still like the elements of Raised Dead, Resurrection. I believe even True Resurrection, they have those drawbacks where, like, for a week after, it's an ordeal for you to come back from the dead, so you have to, like, recuperate and you've got like this minus, I think it's -4 to all of your D20 rolls, and then it reduces by 1 every time you take a long rest or something to that effect. I do like there still being those limitations, and I was in preparation for this episode, I read True Resurrection. Did you guys know that it still has limits? I thought that it was like, a wish spell where anything you want just happens, but you can't true resurrection someone who's been dead for more than 200 years or who's died of natural causes. It just doesn't work.
Someone
Oh.
of natural causes, okay.
Yeah.
Because, if you bring them back, they'll just die of natural causes again. So,
Yeah, but there are other ways in officially published books, perhaps, that supersede even that. So I like the idea of there being, there is resurrection magic that exists out there, but it never comes for free. For example, I'm thinking of something from Curse of Strahd that exists. You guys never encountered it in your campaign, but there is something in particular that will allow you, regardless of the target. I believe it's infinite age, doesn't matter. You can resurrect one creature free of charge for the right price up front.
Ooh, no. Okay, first of all, that sounds super scary. But the idea of like True Resurrection specifically, I like it because it feels very. I think it's a 9th level spell, right? 9th level
True
8th
Resurrection,
level, something
yeah.
like that. It feels very large scale, and it goes back to what I was talking about before. Of it has to feel kind of outside the game, right? Which is the same reason I'm going to say actually that Revivify is my least favorite resurrection spell of any kind. It feels to me very much so like a redo. It feels like, oh, we goofed up. We're good, right? And it's coming, and it's benefited me as a player multiple times, right? I've died in our last campaign. It was wonderful that I was able to be brought back with the Revivify spell. It felt great because I felt cheated out of my life, right? And it can be really cool as a player to be revivified, but I don't feel like there's not enough sacrifice. I'm going to say it echo voice. Sacrifice. There's not enough of it to really warrant the use of the spell. I would never ban it at my table, but I will simp for Matt Mercer and say that I really like his system because it proposes a struggle. It proposes more oomph to it that really makes it feel outer worldly, right? Even the Raise Dead spell, I think, has some better restrictions on it, where I believe it gives you exhaustion points, where you're kind of recuperating. I think it's a 10-day thing. There's a little more oomph to it, a little more grand feel. But Revivify, to me, it just doesn't do it half the time.
the reason I do like Revivify, and it's probably my favorite, is because it does have that 300 gold worth of diamonds limit. Because you as the DM can just choose not to give the players that or give them a very finite amount of it. So I chose to give a good amount in the scenarios we have had, because I'm like, okay, you know, they're strong enough at this point that they should have access to these materials. But say someone who just came upon like the magic that could actually do the reviving might not have it for quite some time, or maybe they don't find it till the moment they need it, you know?
Right, and the fact that Revivify, it only happens, or it only works if they've died within the last minute, really puts like the it's very different as opposed to like a Raise Dead spell where like someone has died and, you know, you've got to preserve that body with General Repose to keep them around, and we've got to find like someone capable of casting this caliber of magic. Revivify is very much like it's like a healing spell that costs so much for you to cast. Because if someone's died within the last minute, they've just gone down. Like, it's something that you're pulling up in the heat of adventure. And very much, like you said, it's like a defibrillator, right? That sometimes people die and you're able to revive them. So it makes sense that, because it's so costly and because, it's still difficult to come by, that 300 gold worth of diamonds, depending on, the game that you're in. I like that there's still that option there, because boy, sometimes it really does suck if as a DM you don't get to control the death saving throws. Sometimes your players just roll an @1 on their death saves. They take 2 fails and they've already failed once, maybe because you hit them, because you were like, well, that's what this enemy would do. It makes sense. sometimes you just don't want that to happen. It doesn't make sense at this point in the story for us to lose this character. But maybe for, a different time, it makes more sense. So, we could have revivified him, but we just didn't have that, the diamonds there, or we've already used up our 3rd level spell slots. There are a lot of situations that can come up, or, God forbid, we killed the guy who had revivify.
Yeah.
What are you going to do about that?
And I agree that there's so many good opportunities to revivify, and it can be really cool. The main reason talking about revivify is what irks me the most is because think about Firebolt, right? Firebolt works. You read Firebolt and you do it as a player. Scorching Ray, it's the same way. You can go through the list of all these spells. They work as they're described, right? But for Revivify to really have oomph, you have to have a DM that does give diamonds, doesn't give diamonds, kills their players a lot, maybe to get use out of Revivify, restricts the ability of the players to use their abilities and their spells. It's it feels odd. It feels like you have to go off script to be able to use Revivify effectively in your sessions, and you can't just use it as is, because as is just feels lackluster, especially if you've cast it 6 times. If you get through a campaign and people are dying over and over, it just feels... It's less impactful. Like I'll use guidance as an example. Guidance as a cantrip, right? Much lower level, much less stakes. It's a very cool spell, but there's only so many ways you can, clerically guide your teammates before it's not cool anymore. You're just giving them a D4 over and over and over again, right? So you have to have more flavor to really, really give the player something, or the DM has to totally rewrite and restructure the spell. So to me, that's why it's one of my overall least favorite spells, not just Resurrection, is because there's so much work that has to go into it for it to be effective as a part of a story. But that's why I like Resurrection and Raise Dead, because I think there's just a little more room to them naturally in the book.
Yeah, those spells irk me specifically because if the party decides to use to find someone to use Raise Dead, I have to make that happen. Like, if it's like, oh yeah, I mean, they're aware that people come back to life with magic, so they're going to use Gentle Repose and they're going to go off, and it's the same story every time you decide to do that, unless you change it. So yeah, it does irk me whenever it's like, oh great, now we got to go find someone if the Revivify doesn't go off, I almost just want the person to be dead. I'm like, can they just die? Because then at that point, it's like, okay, I used my 3rd level spell slot, it didn't work. Gentle Repose, I'm keeping them here. I don't know what to do, but we'll figure it out. And then they pack up the body, they follow it around, they go to the highest tier person they know, and they go, hey, do you know anyone who can cast high level healing magic? And they're like, oh, they have to say they know someone, or else the party's just like, well, now we're just going to keep going wandering around. So then it's like, okay, then you go find the high tier person, and that person can do it, but they need this one thing. And so, it's
a sacrifice, perhaps.
Yeah, and it's the same story every time. It's like always like, okay, we have to find the person that can do Raise Dead. We've done it before. We did it in the last campaign with some NPCs that were beloved, who died. Where it was like, oh yeah, well we got to find someone to do to cast Raise Dead. Which luckily we had a meme character we could go find that was fun, which was an enjoyable thing for me to bring up, but. It happened recently in Critical Role where they had to go on a whole long quest because someone died or whatever, and I was like, I want this to be over. I just want this to move to the next thing.
It takes away a lot of the urgency and the concept. It takes away that sacrifice vibe, right? Because you're not actually sacrificing. You're getting to the point where it's like, oh, we just goofed up, we're going to revive. Or you get to a situation where literally just the cleric could live in a fight, leave, come back the next day, and just boop, 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 get them all back up.
Right.
It just feels like there's
Gentle
not enough.
Repose all the bodies immediately, and then leave, and then come back in and revivify everyone.
Yep.
So that's about where I'm at. I think Resurrection Magic is cool, and there are some spells I like, and there are some spells I don't, but I'm not going to change it, and I might, if we're not a party that frequently has deaths. It's like usually if there's a death, it's usually story related, or a revivify happens and then they come back. So, I I think that I would like to implement some sort of rules around it, but I don't quite want it to be the whole ritual thing and like manipulating DCs back and forth.
Yeah, I think it's more fun when it happens off the cuff, sort of like happened in this session. Like, it wasn't gamified in any way. We didn't have a DC for success there. It just made sense the way you described how it works, and we all accepted. Okay, well, Adonis had to die for this, so it better go off.
Yeah, and it would have been like, if you were playing it like a gamified table, a character might have been like, DM, actually, well, Adonis only died within the past, like, 15 seconds, so we can actually just, revive him.
Yeah, I guess we could have done that, huh?
Well, technically, you might have been able to, like, kind of do it, but also his body was being inhabited by a new soul, so...
Yeah, no,
nothing would have been... Revivify wouldn't have worked, but could you have resurrected him? Who knows? I don't think so, because he would have to choose to come back in a different form, and I don't think he would.
That would have felt so cheap. I can only imagine putting myself in Sean's shoes, sacrificing my character to fully achieve what he had set out to do with his entire adventure and character, and then someone going like, "Oh no, I revive you. It's okay." What? I achieved everything I wanted to do, and you took it away.
I would have been actually so angry.
Yeah.
I think I would have DM'd it where maybe he could just resist the revivify. Like, maybe you give the player a choice, like, do you want to be revivified at that point?
Well, I think you do that
resist
anyways
the light?
most of the time.
Yeah, I guess you could.
I feel it might even be in the
it's in
spell,
one of the spells.
Yeah, spell wording. Like, it's got to be a willing creature. You can't just bring someone back to life, even if they don't want to.
No, I want to die. Thank you guys for listening to this episode of Table Talk Friday, where we talked all about our last couple of sessions into the campaign, which have been pretty wild, and resurrection magic and how it relates to our campaign. If you'd like more from Table Talk Friday, go to patreon.com/TableTalkFriday, where you can hear the post show that we're about to record right now. You can also subscribe and get the episodes a week early and all kinds of other bonus content. Or you can find us on TikTok.com or TikTok at Table Talk Friday. I do that all the time.
TikTok.com.
TikTok at Table Talk Friday, on Twitter at Table Talk Friday, on YouTube at Table Talk Friday, and one day on Instagram at Table Talk Friday. And with that, can I have the Harbinger of Souls take me out?
Yar har, shiver me timbers. It's I, the Flying Dutchman, Harbinger of Souls, and I'm here to ferry you all out of this episode. Come now, your souls need a rest. It's been a long episode.
And you can get more amazing pirate voices like that at Table Talk Friday /voice acting lessons. That's right. This is our new subscription service, and you can get it for what we said, $100 at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
It'll be $100. Have a good night.